I think criticisms of China and Russia and Brazil regarding doing more against Israel are legitimate. It's very legitimate criticism. You guys don't hear it a lot from me though, because I am usually careful when I make the criticism. Because as an American, I can't like how can we as Americans beat up the Chinese people for not opposing Zionism enough? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it is America in the West that is fueling the Zionist regime. So to me, it's kind of in bad taste when you have America like, why isn't Xi Jinping doing more to resist Israel? Nigga, you in America. The headline is, I'm talking about war reactions. So I'm going to quickly show you a few headlines quickly. The UK, this is being confirmed because I saw Russia, before my last stream, I saw a Russian official accuse UK of helping Israel fight the war with Iran. Now Starmer is confirming the military buildup. I will cover this more in detail and kind of speed run through some receipts. I'm thinking about doing a hotspot video on this. We see. I'll do my first hotspot next tomorrow. So I may do a hotspot video on this because Starmer is officially getting UK involved in this conflict. And regarding how many countries in the Middle East are responding to Israel's attack on Iran, it essentially amounts to Middle Eastern countries and Arab countries sending Israel a sternly written letter. That's essentially what they did. And I've been asking this question, why are African countries more passionate, more infuriated by the crimes of the Israeli regime than fucking Arab countries? They make me sick. Like Jordan shooting down Iranian missiles to defend Israel. So all the Arabs, they condemn them. They're like, oh, we need to calm down and de-escalate tensions. What are you talking about, de-escalation? The fuck are you talking about? You have Israel that is carrying out a genocide of the Palestinian people, attacking Lebanon, invading Syria, stealing their resources. And the Middle Eastern countries are talking about de-escalation? I want to accept pushback on my position here, but I think this is bullshit. And I'm very upset at the Arab countries who sold out the Palestinian people. I know there are arguments to be made, like, oh, Nick, don't you know they gotta look after the people? They gotta maintain peace. At this point, man, they are complicit. You know what I mean? I'm not. Go ahead. Share your opinion too.
I was just gonna say, nobody should be surprised. They're complicit. That's their duty. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Jordan, Egypt. For a long time, they've been controlled by Israel, by the West. They are very much like what you said in the beginning, like a lot of these, the Gusanos from Cuba, Venezuela, the Latin Americans that support regime change in their countries, the people in Iran that support regime change in their countries. This whole thing is a colonized mind. And when you have a colonized mind, they think that the impetus and in the input of the West is going to favor them, when at the end of the day, it's not. And they'll still play along and say, okay, well, we support a Palestinian state, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, their actions show their support for the Zionist regime. And the people who are part of the resistance see this and they know this, and they almost have an anger at them more because they should know better. They should be better, but they're not. They're equally as vile or worse than the West because they should be on the side of their own people. So it is a huge betrayal. And this is something I've seen all over Latin America, all over many countries, Russia. Like, there's all sorts of people that think that there's a superiority with Europeans, with Americans, and even people who are suspect of them are not as suspect as somebody that's grown up and seen the empire from the inside out, like us. I am far more against Western, I'm far more suspect against Americans and Westerners than any Russian, Lebanese, like all of these people that I've met. They're just not there. They still give them the benefit of the doubt. And I think this is something that needs to be looked out for. And I think it'll take some time to decolonize the mind in that aspect.
Don't worry, Fiorella. They're going to file a complaint at the UN. That's their plan. the Arab countries watching their people be slaughtered by Israel. They are literally watching Greater Israel being built. And they're like, we're going to file a complaint to the UN. We're going to call for de-escalation. Get the fuck out of here. I'm glad that I was like, man, I don't know if I'm glad that you at least shared my opinion on this. Because my anger is growing at these Arab countries, man. Like, I have a very strong responsibility. And I feel that's why I do the coverage I do. That's why I advocate the way I do as Americans. It's our responsibility to fight the Zionist regime that our taxpayer money go towards. And I take that very seriously. So I see people in the Middle East, it's like your region, bro, and you siding with the Zion. It's so disgusting. That's why you guys see I had to put back against Shahid Bolson the way I did. You know, we wasn't planning that argument debate because I find it very disgusting. You know what I mean? And something I can't really let pass. And let's see, this is by comparison, this is why they hate Maduro. Because Nicolas Maduro, he straight up saying, man, Netanyahu is a fucking Hitler. I'm never working with fucking Benjamin Netanyahu. The same with North Korea, who developed a nuke that was smart. They said that Israel is Satan. They would never do business with Israel. Now you guys see why they hate the DPRK in North Korea? Meanwhile, the homie Lula, you gotta do better, man. Like Lula talks all this shit. Lula be like, I think Israel's carrying out a new genocide. Meanwhile, he's still providing energy to Israel.
Nick,
I like Lula. A lot of things Lula does, but he also full of shit on a lot of things. I think he's one of the leaders that say good things about Israel, but he's too weak at the end of the day. I don't hate Lula, but man, I gotta give him criticism where it deserves, and this is one of them. I'll read the headline now. I'll let you respond. Just for people only listening, the headline I pulled up here is Brazilian oil trade unions urge Lula to impose energy embargo on Israel. So go ahead, Fiorella. I just want to read that.
I agree with you on Lula, and the thing is, China still has a relationship with Israel, in terms of trade. So does Russia. There's that cultural relationship as well as this geopolitical relationship, which is why you're seeing the U.S. reach out to Russia in favor to mediate relations with Iran. And so, you could talk about these major countries, all of them doing more to stand against Israel, and they all very well could. Nobody's saying they need to actually go on the ground and go after Israel physically. That would be great, but that's not where these countries are at. They're pragmatic. They're focused on their own issues, especially Russia right now. But that doesn't mean there can't be an economic blockade, and there isn't. And that says a lot as to where the reality of the world is at. Because people talk about multipolarity. And for me, it's like multipolarity is happening in the sense of there's more powers rising. You have the rise of China, the rise of Russia, the rise of elements of the global south, but you still have, that doesn't mean you have equity. You still don't have equity. It doesn't mean that countries or peoples like the Palestinians are free and are being offered justice, or the Haitians aren't being vilified and offered justice. It doesn't mean equity. And I think a lot of people thought it would mean equity. And I think a lot of people think China and Russia are going to come and save the day. And I don't think it's like that. Like, being on this side of the world, you start seeing how countries operate in a very pragmatic fashion, especially trying to protect their own interests, which is normal in those terms, to increase their outreach economically, their trade, their just their effect on the world in general. And so that's understandable. But when it comes to a situation like this modern day Holocaust, everybody could do more. And I think it's fair to say that no matter how much you deify all these countries and all these leaders, I think it's important to say when it comes to Israel, they're not going to stop unless they are stopped. And if we look to Yemen, if we look to Iran, at the very least, we could do something that targets their economic sectors to cripple them from doing what they're doing.
Yeah, very well said. I think criticisms of China and Russia and Brazil regarding doing more against Israel are legitimate. It's very legitimate criticism. You guys don't hear it a lot from me though, because I am usually careful when I make the criticism. Because as an American, I can't, like, how can we as Americans beat up the Chinese people for not opposing Zionism enough. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it is America in the West that is fueling the Zionist regime. So to me, it's kind of in bad taste when you have America like, why isn't Xi Jinping doing more to resist Israel? Nigga, you in America. So you guys see why I'm very careful with that critique. But I do think the critique is legitimate, though. So there are two minds that we got to have. You can't be an American wishing for Russia, China, and Brazil to bail you out of your Zionism problem. But at the same time, people in Palestine and people who are pissed at them enabling Israel, they are legit.